When considering an e-bike, should you go class 2 and pick up the electric XP 3.0 or class 3 like the A8 Pro Max from Aniioki? Now that's actually a trick question because technically both of these bikes are class 3 e-bikes. Well, really they're like class 4 if that was a thing. According to the law here in Utah, a class 2 e-bike like the electric 3.0 should only top out at 20 miles an hour. And this class 3 e-bike from Aniioki should only top out at 28. Now, to be fair, electric does ship as a class 2 e-bike, but in the advanced settings, you can set it to top out around 27, 28 miles per hour. And the throttle does only top out at 20, so maybe that's what they meant. Now, Utah also says that neither class should have a motor bigger than 750 watts. And if I'm doing my math right, those are both bigger than 750 watts. So it looks like they've got a little bit of figuring out to do in Utah. I'm glad they haven't figured that out yet because I like bikes that have more power, and that is what you got right there. But with all that power
comes great responsibility.
Are there any regulations as far as where you can ride and things like that? The short answer, no. As I was browsing the laws in Utah, the only thing I could find as far as trails that wouldn't allow e-bikes were the trails with posted signs that says no e-bikes allowed. I don't see any here, so good to go. And that's with all e-bikes, class 1, 2, and 3. I also couldn't find any laws on speed or what bikes you can take on what trails. The laws are very loose with e-bikes. Now, over the last 2 years, I've seen maybe 3 signs for speed limits on trails, and that's been 20 miles per hour. So I think that's kind of the understood speed for bike trails. It's kind of like driving your car in a place like this. This is the neighborhood, lots of houses, lots of kids. There's no speed limit here, but everybody knows that it's 25 miles an hour.
Playing in the road is fun.
Now, there was one firm law with class 3 e-bikes, and that is age limits. Utah says that if you're 16 or younger, it is illegal to ride a class 3 e-bike. Those little whippersnappers can't handle the speed, I guess.
Playing in the road is fun.
So if you're 16, whoa, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop watching. This is adult content. I had to throw that in there. Bam, Utah, take it. I'm gonna go through the A8 and show you all the cool stuff about this bike. If you guys are looking for a class 3 bike, which I would suggest doing that, whew, that's a good option. And the first thing I want to talk about is how big this frame is. I measured this, it is 32 inches, which is crazy. The electric 3.0 was half as big. It also has a key fob. There we go, that locks it. And now if you try to move it, it's got a built-in alarm. Hey, 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 take it easy. I was gonna move away from the pure size of this thing, but it's just too impressive not to talk about it more. Just look at this saddle.
Oh, would you look at this?
I mean, the seat is huge.
Just look at it.
It's wide, it's long, but the seat post, I mean, that's like 2 inches. The biggest seat post I've seen.
Would you look at this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's eye-catching. This whole bike is eye-catching. The spring suspension in the rear is double the size of most e-bikes, and you can't adjust it with the right tool. You can stiffen that up if you're a heavier rider or loosen it if you're a light rider. And speaking of rider sizes, this can hold up to 350 pounds and fits a rider 5'3" up to 6'5". I've got the saddle set to where I normally ride, and I'm a 5'11" guy, but when I take my legs off the pedals, I'm just dangling. I feel like a little kid, like riding one of those merry-go-round ponies. That's the highest position, and I don't even know. This is a bike for like Henri the Giant. The last oversized piece is the battery. It's 52 volts with 60 amp hours. And when you charge it up, which takes 8 hours, they say you can get up to 200 miles. And I believe it because that is heavy. That's a 33-pound battery. Oh man, yeah. Rockabye battery. And when you put it back in, this bike weighs 101 pounds. Oh yeah. I'm gonna fill that tomorrow. Now, if you wanted to save a few bucks, you can get a smaller battery size. In fact, Aniioki offers a lot of different options for this bike. In fact, they actually have a dual motor version coming out, which they'll be sending me, so come back and check that one out in a couple weeks. I am looking forward to that model because one of the things that I don't like about this bike is the power off the line. It's a little bit too slow for me. It just looks fast and tough. So in my mind, I mean, I'm thinking you hop on it, you're gonna spin the tires, create a big old smoke trail behind you, but that's just not the case. The other thing I don't like, besides the freezing cold rain that's hitting my face, is it's not that comfortable to pedal. The saddle's too wide, and so when you pedal, you get rubbed raw in the wrong areas. And that's a rough time. What I do like, turn it around, are the hydraulic brakes. You got plenty enough stopping power for a 100-pound bike. Look at that. Oh, stays up by itself. I was gonna talk about the balance later, but there's proof of how well balanced it is. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to the brakes for just a second. I do like these levers because you can adjust the play by just turning this screw. You also have motor cutoff, and when you press them, the tail light lights up. Something that I usually don't like on a lot of bikes, in fact, every bike except for this one, are the welding scars. With this bike, it just seems to complement it. This is more of an industrial looking bike. You wanted a rough appearance, and these welding scars just give it just that extra edge. I also like the large rack. I like the motorcycle style suspension, and it looks like there's a seamless transition between the suspension to the handlebars. I like that design. The wiring is a little bit messy, but they've done what they could to contain it with these wraps. The grips feel super nice. Control pad is one of my favorites. I just like this design. Half twist throttle's nice. There's a very loud horn. Got your standard Shimano 7-speed SIS index shifter. Oh, there's one more thing that I didn't like, and that is when you turn the handlebars, it stops. It hits the battery. This nut hits the battery on each side. So when it comes to turning around on a trail like this, a little bit tricky to do that. You have to make a 3-point turn. As far as ride and feel, oh, it's beautiful. A little bit loud, and that's mostly those tires. It's got the type of tread that just makes that humming noise, but the motor's just silent. And again, the balance is just, it's beautiful. It basically just stays upright on its own. The trickiest part about this bike, and it's not that tricky, is just getting on. All right, guys. Well, if you like big bikes, and if you watched to this point, that tells me that you do. I've done 2 other bike reviews that aren't quite as big as this, but I'll have them here and here. So go check those out. As always, thanks for watching, and take care.